Wow, it has been a weekend. Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and today I will be bringing you my army list that's going to be played against Lane. And this is a very special army list because there was some drama at the RTT tournament that I went to this last weekend. So I was having some difficulty figuring out what I wanted to take. I really didn't want to take Hypercrypt. I really didn't want to take Grey Knights to this. I wanted to take Necrons. I took Grey Knights to the last tournament. I like to keep make it unique. And I'd already run Canoptic Court. Really didn't want to run Hypercrypt. So I decided I would try and mess around with some other oddities. And I finally settled on my original Annihilation Legion out of the Awakened Dynasty. So I went with Destroyer Cult. I took all the Destroyers. And I went 1 and 2. Didn't go that well. A big problem was, and this comes into with terrain, and I'm not mad, this happens. Sometimes with the way a location has the terrain set, sometimes the ruling on a piece of terrain can really hurt. And for this tournament, there was 2 pieces at center field and that were blocking objectives from most of the deployment zones, and they were both impassable. And because they were impassable, it made it very difficult for the big unit of Scorpex that I had to find a lane to push through. Now, this list is going to be back on the channel here soon. I'm going to run it as the Annihilation Legion. It's the last dynasty that I haven't done. And originally, that was what I planned on running today. I would say, this is the list I ran. I ran it out of Awaken because I haven't played it yet with the Annihilation Legion, but I want to give Annihilation Legion a chance. I have some thoughts behind it. Until standing at the table across from my good buddy Sam. And we are chit-chatting about different armies, and he starts really trash-talking Adeptus Mechanicus. And I was like, no, man, you got to see, like, I found something with these robots. I'm having some success. I need to mess with it a little bit more. And, man, he was brutal. He was vicious. He was mean. He was nasty. And challenge accepted. So we haven't worked out the full details of this yet, but don't worry, more on that later. But the gauntlet has been thrown down for me to be successful at an event with Adeptus Mechanicus in their current state. Hopefully, I get that time for that current state. But, you know, data sheets, rule changes, something could happen. But I'm going to make that shot to take a list with AdMech to a tournament because, Sam, you called me out. You made this personal. So we're going to be bringing AdMech today. The cool thing about this, though, is that this is in the very early list design process. So Saturday, we had the event. Then Sunday, I had to work. So when I made this decision, a lot of this went into Sunday night into having to work today, which is Monday, to get ready for this game this evening. And looking at the AdMech book, and going just completely into it of what could be competitive and digging deep into this, the army's a little messy. But with all due respect, I went through and was building models till like 2 in the morning last night, including a conversion I'm really excited about to unveil and start and show as it develops. But for the most part, this army is all ready to go. And that's a great part. The only thing that I'm missing is all the special weapons and the stupid sniper rifles. Because like most AdMech players that I knew, we built Rangers with galvanic rifles because galvanic rifle. And now it's all the stuff's free. So in a lot of ways, like, why not take it? And there is some theory behind this list's concept that deals in with taking all of those weapons since they're free and being able to do a lot with it. So this is not going to be one where I just flash the unit and say, this is why it's in here, this is why it's not. This is going to be starting to show what's going on in my head and how I start to design armies. When I'm looking to build a new army, go into a new faction even, because I haven't played AdMech for some time. So there's a lot of rules I'm going to have to relearn and re-understand. So I'll probably say some stuff wrong. Feel free to correct me on it. And in the future, I'm going to try and get a lot of this AdMech construction content out sooner so that if I say something wrong or misspeak, someone can inform me before Lane and myself get our game. But with Necrons this weekend, it was I went 1-2. I got World Eaters in the first round and was able to just really control the board. One of the big things that I was discussing with Lane was trying to make sure that Angron would die during between battle rounds, kind of in a sense, so that when the World Eater player would roll for their dice and to see what they would get, they would not be able to resurrect him, so you'd still have that full turn on the table. And one of the plans was, okay, let's get him in over. What if we need to get him in the Overwatch? So with him being on an objective marker in his position that he was in, and I was able to shoot with the destroyers at these guys, and since they're on an objective marker, they trigger their ability, which someone informed me afterwards, thank you, that I don't, I guess it's in the FAQ at this time, that I don't need to have them be the closest as well, as long as they're on the objective marker. So, okay, cool. So with that being said, I was able to put the lethal hits into Angron and take him down to 1 wound, so that then finishing him off at the beginning of the passing of a new battle round to go into my fresh turn. So because I went second, I was able to scrape it into that moment. And I'm sorry if that sounds a little choppy, but it was really, really nice and very critical to then Angron's gone. I have a full turn to deal with everything before Angron can even come back. So that was a powerful one. And then it's all downhill from there. I went up against Zach. Zach brought a Storm Raven. That Storm Raven was very, it has very efficient firepower. Fortunately for me, I got lucky and stuck an Overwatch with the Locust Heavy Destroyers that I hit 2 out of 3 shots, which are lethal, and just almost wreck the thing. I put it at 2 wounds because it reduces damage by 1. And then afterwards, I was able to pick it up. A big misplay was I kept all my Ophidians on one side, Scorpex on the other, which made sense in my mind, but I should have switched the Ophidians and the Scorpex, 1 of each. So I had Ophidians to play off both sides, as well as having Scorpex to be able to counter when he moved over and tried to come into my objective, since he was set up on that side. Doing that meant I had to over-dedicate my Ophidians, putting double out there to finish and clear and get my home objective back, which then put me into just a downhill for attrition. I was able to do a good amount of damage, destroy a lot of stuff. It was a very bloody game, but there were sticky objectives included as the army rule, and I wasn't able to catch up with that. He was able to have objective markers stickied, leave them, or do the unit destroyed on them and still hold them, because there was nothing I could do from that point. Then the last game was against Sam, and we got to play a good old game of 40K. Biggest issue and biggest disappointment was the center terrain. He was able to maneuver around and get into position and get on having more speed than I have in the score pack list were the destroyers. He was able to get himself in position with an invuln to counter any positions I was able to take, and I wasn't able to charge him first. So I was really, really stuck. I was really behind the 8 ball. One thing that would have helped is if I could have gone through the center terrain, I could have matched a counterattack versus TCAV, since TCAV cannot go through buildings. So that's a big part of my matchup with Space Wolves. And that when I think about playing Space Wolves, I think about the fact that they cannot go through buildings. And I try to utilize that so that I can corner them in and control how much they're destroying until I can get into a point where I can eliminate them, whether it's sending a little bit of combat damage in there to try and whittle them down slowly but surely, and then hitting them with one big shooting punch, or try and take them out in combat with spiders. That's one of my favorites. But I couldn't do that because I couldn't catapult my guys through to get the TCAB to start spreading out and have to cover too much. So unfortunately, he was able to basically funnel me into a corner. I was able to get out and start to wheel and start to move. And he had some tanks. He had some Predator Executioner, I believe it was. Anti-infantry, big more than anything else. He had some of those. He had 3 of them. First round of Locust, unfortunately, I took 1 to 5 wounds. I couldn't even take one out. And then the second round, I left him with half a one. So I took him, came back around the next turn, but not destroying one the first volley meant there was too many shots going into my Scorpex, and they started to go down because I had to try to move into a more aggressive position across the hammer and anvil to have any play on objective markers. So that's how it went. That's how the tournament went. Unfortunately, only 1 and 2. I wasn't having too high hopes because I couldn't really settle on a list. I really wanted to mess around with the Immortals more, but I felt like I was stuck at a point where I could win games, but I'd score like 76. And Zach ended up going on to win the whole thing, and he had a perfect 300 games. He went 3-0 with 100 points every game. So again, to that point, if I win 3 games and I score 76, 76, 76, I'm not going to match with that 100 points. So that's where I was kind of stuck and trying to figure out how I want to play this secondary game off them. When I come back to it, I'll probably start looking into things like Ophidians. And that is pretty much where that lies. Sam has basically called me out. We had a nice little heated discussion. There was witnesses. And it's time for me to play some AdMech. So we're going to jump over and talk about this AdMech list and what I'm trying to bring today. And I will try to timestamp all this stuff. So hopefully I was able to do that. And let's go take a look. All right. Here is my AdMech that I'm going to be playing tonight. For starters, this is the Skitarii Hunter cohort. And I'm going to show photographs of this army in a different way. Because like I said, this is where we're at the testing phase. So a lot of this is not necessarily going to be about the individual units at this time, but the army's general function as a whole, and what I'm trying to do, and what I want to see. So, for the most part, this is going to be a bulk answer to what I am bringing, because this is definitely bulk. I think we're at like 102, 103 models. This is the Skitarii Hunter cohort. This will give all of my infantry stealth. The Sicarian units, which are the infiltrators and the Taraxi, will also have count as cover if they're outside of 12 inches. My vehicles will have no benefit in this list, except for the fact that they're Skitarii. So they will get a lot, they get some of the boosts from doctrines and stuff like that. First, we're going to go over enhancements real fast. So I'll be taking 2 enhancements in this army. One is going to be the Clandestine Infiltrator. So Skitarii model, that unit gets Infiltrator and Scout 6 inches. The second one I'm going to take, the Battlesphere Uplink. I want to be able to shoot with Rangers, not move them to get the benefit of heavy, and then move them down. That is a really cool ability that I think will help for the Doctrina in the different Doctrina phases. Not to mention the fact of getting a lot of speed to really cover the board fast. A big thing with this army is how fast I can cover the entire board. One thing about a lot of the different strats and abilities with some of this army, and I have to learn where they're all at, is I see a lot of things having the ability to, when I use a stratagem and target one of these things, on a 5-up I get the CP back. So I need to remember that and remember where those areas are and how they affect with all the different auras and such of the army. All right, now, what is this big blob and what am I trying to do with it? So we're going to go and switch over here to a top-down camera view so you can kind of see what I'm talking about initially. So we do have 2 squads of Taraxi. Those are in the back left and right corner. They're big jump infantry guys with flamers. They were very nice last edition. They're still very fast. They're super cheap, which is going to be a theme of a lot of this army. And I want to give them their just due and see how they, well, just do. They fit into this list being a Sicarian unit, so they also can get that benefit of cover if I decide to hit like a flank and I'm able to do something safely. And them, like many other units in this army, all base their abilities off being near battle line units, which in this army I have, I got 7 of them. I'm chock full of infantry in this list. So the Taraxi get reroll 1s when they're hitting a unit on an objective. If there's a battle line unit within 6, they can get full rerolls to wound. So being able to give this unit +1 to wound with a strength 4 can really help to put a lot of that fire onto a unit. Now they're AP0, which is kind of tough, but it's still ways that we're going to try and get volume of damage and really try and make water into wine. So moving down, we have the Sicarian Infiltrators. The Infiltrators, I do like how explosive their attacks can be. Not really any way to boost them as far as hits that I was seeing initially. Not really a way to give them a boosting to rerolls or anything for that nature in this detachment around that style. Maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I'll find it. Their big deal is to be able to reduce and make things battle shock. We'll see how much that comes into effect. I have a couple of things that can kind of do that. And they infiltrate and they stealth. So again, more board coverage. We have 3 of the Scorpius tanks. Get back to you on it. We'll talk about this after in my post game. We'll see how they do. There's a lot. If you're someone who looks at that artillery and goes, it has indirect fire, yes. And it also takes disadvantage of everything that indirect fire does. Now, when this thing does shoot straight ahead and does shoot that at infantry, that's definitely a benefit there. But the artillery side is really lackluster. Now, I will have 2 engine seers to be able to buff these things, so we're going to see how these things do. I want to give them a try in this list and see. They do have that missile pod is really cool. Missiles are really good on that thing, and it's twin linked. We also have 1 Onager Dunecrawler. He's an aura of a 4-up invuln. I'm not sure either he's going to get completely blasted off the table already. He has an Icarus Array and Daedalus Missile. He's probably most likely just going to get blasted off the table. If the Scorpius don't perform, might go into more of these. I do like them a lot, and that invuln is very nice, especially considering how much battle line I have. So let's get over to it. All right, back to this top-down view. We got 5 squads of Rangers and 2 squads of Vanguard. So the 5 Rangers all have an arc rifle, a plasma rifle, a sniper rifle. And it's going to be sniper rifle because until Lane is around, I do not know how to pronounce that thing. The 2 Vanguard are going to all have carbines. And then we will have a sniper in each. Now, I like the carbine a lot. I like the anti-infantry effect. I may change my mind on it and go for more damage, but I actually really like the carbine. For the Rangers, they scout. They're going to be gaining all this army's buffs and abilities. And so, yeah, we're going to make a run with a bunch of them and see if we can't nickel and dime the damage off of a lot of different units. Since I have 5 arc rifles, 5 plasma, and realistically in total 7 of their style sniper rifle. Now, leading this army, we have 8 characters in this list. We have Assassination's best friend, because it's going to be very easy to pick off my characters. So I am bringing 2 engine seers. They're going to be hanging out with my tanks, giving them feel no pain and fixing them. So that's kind of cool. And then if my blue blow up one of my tanks, these guys get angry and can punch someone. So we'll see how that plays. I'm kind of hoping that they're just going to go towards a closer objective and kind of just play the game from there. And maybe the tech priests, actually, their combat will matter. So that's where I'm kind of figuring they're going to end up. Then we have 2 marshals. These are where my relics are. So one that has the infiltrate and scout is going to definitely go with the squad of Vanguard, since Vanguard cannot scout. This allows me to get, again, a lot more forward coverage. The second squad of Vanguard is probably going to hold my home field objective, and they're probably going to have my techno-archaeologist with them to be able to have a large zone-out deep strike effect, since the archaeologist gives them that, as well as giving the unit +1 OC to really help me control that objective. And then not have to have as much at home to get a steal. Like, you have to actually get in there and take it from me to take it. What you call it? The sniper, I really like it. So I want to see if I spam them, if they can play out. Unfortunately, I'll be going into there won't be any characters because Lane's bringing Chaos Knights. But that's going to be very important for this to see if I can do damage to those things with, these weapons and everything in the list entirely with the volume. So arc rifle, again, I got 5 of them. Plasma, I got 5 of them. I'm wondering if the sheer volume of it, kind of a guard effect, that you got to take out basically the whole squad to finish off and take out that weapon. And if the squad's still alive, then you don't take out that weapon. And all these squads are going to be -1 to hit. They have 4 up save. So if they're in cover, they do receive the benefit of cover versus AP 0 going to a 3 up save. And they will have the ability to count as cover if they're just outside of 12. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're not Sicarians. So they don't have that. But they will be -1 to hit. And if that Onager Doomcrawler is hanging out nearby, they're going to have a 4 up invuln possibly. So suddenly these guys are just silly durable. And then if I can get it behind a building even for the early points of the game, it has a wide footprint to be able to cover and then give the invuln to these other units, which for a command point, I can give a unit lone op and really slow down someone's progression. All right, there is another Marshal as well. He's the one with the battle sphere. So whichever Ranger squad he goes with will be able to shoot and move. So I'll be able to have a Ranger squad to start moving across the field more with, depending on how I want to scout and use the Doomcrawler and do all that stuff. All right, so last, this is the one I'm excited about. So I only had the time, it's because of building this thing and designing it this way. I only had the time to get one done, and I want to do a second one differently. But I will be bringing the sniper, the stilty sniper. But I am not going to use this model because I am not a big fan of it. I will consider getting one eventually, just to have one. But I like to have a little bit of uniqueness. So the Sidonian Skatros, which I think is like a play on the word like albatross maybe, or something there for the bird legs. But this is going to be I'm converted one of them. I have one that I'm ready to start painting. He's got his spider-like legs, which my thought is that he has these spider-like, almost suction cup styled legs that can entangle around a lamppost, a tree, a wall, and hold this sniper at the perfect position because of how articulated they are. And the other one is limited edition Vernicar Assassin because I couldn't build the other one in time. So he is going to be playing the role of a Skatros today because I really want to try out 2 of them. And I was able to get the points to get them both in there. And yeah, they're really cool. I like them. They will, however, have the sniper rifle to go anti-infantry and precision, which isn't going to matter much today. But we'll see. We'll see, because this is going to also be important of, okay, so if these guys can't shoot at infantry, are they going to be able to win the battlefield? Okay, so this is version 1 of the list. This is where I'm trying to see how certain things interact. A big part of it is I notice how much of this codex bases around battle line. And it's all over the place. Battle line, battle line, battle line. So how much of it can we get to survive? These 10-man units are not that tough, but I got all these little other extra buffs to give them some defense. So is that going to be enough? They have an invuln inherently, so that's helpful. -1 to hit, that's going to be helpful. It'll help turn off some buffs that people are looking at for +1s to hit even. And having sniper control, having the ability to have so many snipers that are actually very precise in the amount of damage they do. Like we're not looking at death marks, which are strength 5. We have different weapons that have the ability to be more effective in trying to remove a character. These are weapons that have a higher strength that could actually, an AP, that could hurt a Marine character. One thing I didn't mention as well is that the majority of this army is going to be ignoring cover. So like the Rangers and that stuff are going to be ignoring cover for the most part. So I don't even really have to worry about that part either for some of these sniper rifles. They actually possess, with their damage and their strength, they could take out Marine characters. Is that going to matter? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, maybe the Marine player can drag the character around a wall for a while until they actually need to get out. And then when they get out there, it's like, okay, cool, you have 2 sniper rifles left. 1 missed. Go ahead and shoot the other one. that might be the case. Being able to ding up a character from afar so that he accidentally gets smacked when you finish off the squad might be pivotal. And if there is the capability of taking some of these buffs out of units early in the game, that could hurt. I feel like that's always the dream with snipers, and it never really seems fruition. We do have a lot of good, we can really put off some shots at about 30-inch range for most of the army. The Vanguard are 18. But the biggest thing is how much board coverage we have. I'm able to scout move so much of the army. I have a lot of things able to infiltrate. So I have things that are going to be able to be across on the other side of the map. I mean, I could pretty much, unless someone else has infiltrators, control well over half the board before we even start the game and have the whole thing covered, absolutely covered. And that could be something that plays with this army is, can I just cover the board and keep you pinned back far enough that you're not able to progress and play the game during the early standpoints? Can I push out, score a points, and go home? That might be the way this plays. A lot of resilience, not a lot of damage, but the ability to be annoying. Sounds like my kind of list. All right, guys. Well, that's my list for tonight. Look forward to seeing Lanes. He's got, like I said, Chaos Knights, so we're going to have an armor, and he's playing real Chaos Knights. We're looking at like 12 armatures in this thing. So, all right, guys, as always, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.